Hey Scott, I'll go first. What do you think about South Carolina? What stands out to you about them on film? And like we talked about yesterday, you've watched them a little bit, but now theoretically you've studied them a lot more. What have you learned in the last 24 hours?
The bags under my eyes, Lindsay. Yeah, well, fast, athletic, love to get to the rim, love to attack the rim, do a great job on the boards, love to be disruptive defensively, love to keep you away from the rim, and just challenge everything in the quarter court and, run a lot of stuff. I mean, the scout is deep with as many sets as they run. And, so obviously well coached and they expect to win, and thus a one seed.
Do they remind you of anyone in the Pac-12? I know it's weird because there was no non-conference games this year, so you don't really have that comparison, but is there any comparison you can draw?
I think it's a combination. You can look back to teams we've played in the past that are somewhat similar. A Baylor type of team that likes to overpower you and just go at the rim. I mean, this team, has similarities that way. In our conference, they've got the ability to pressure you like a UCLA, like an Arizona, where they get after you. They can be disruptive like Stanford is. They transition fast like those teams as well. I still would, I mean, Stanford is so good in the open court that those games for us are the ones we look to as we're preparing, for this team, how relentless they are in transition. But of course, UCLA and Arizona are right there with them. And, Oregon transitions so well with kick ahead passes that puts a lot of pressure on you. So this team is similar. And then you think about teams that have, such a significant inside game, Aaliyah is much different than Cameron Brink, but similar in their impact and their potential impact around the basket. And, so that Niara, at Oregon, very similar, in how they just like to go at you in a physical way that really challenges your position initially and your strength, throughout the possession. So, then it's just an absolute war for every rebound.
Scott, I know you guys played South Carolina in 2014 and kind of a 9, I think it was a 9 versus a 1 back then. I know that has no bearing on this game, but does it have any similarities just going into it at all, what that game?
Yeah, I mean, that game came down to rebounds. Ironically, even before the bracket came out, I watched that game actually, as I was just thinking of things to prepare our team with. You kind of assume you hope anyway, you're going to get to a game, against a team like them. That means you're going places in the tournament. And so it's inevitable. So just to refresh my mind, on not only South Carolina, but teams like them, and I think back to, Welsh was such an unbelievable force in that game. I mean, they had Coates, of course, but Welsh was just such an enforcer and so impactful. I thought she was, as good as they were, I thought she was the difference in that game. And so just how fast it is, how relentless it is, that has helped me as a coach, throughout my career, getting ready for, all of our games against teams like this, the Baylors, the Tennessee, when we played them, Notre Dame's when they got Turner and, all of them. And so, and then, think back to another game I think of, or part of my career that I can kind of relate it to, is back when, Cal, I opened with Stanford with Tua Gumake's, right? So we've seen our share of dominant post play, then Christina Nigwe, but even before that, Stallworth, Caldwell, Cal's teams, when I first arrived in the Pac-10 and then 12, were just overwhelming around the basket, and this team has a similar quality in how they attack and their physicality and athleticism. And so, I'm thankful for those experiences as a coach to help get our team ready, because, this team's very similar to those.
Scott, do you do you get to shoot around in the Alamo Dome tomorrow? And will you have any, I think you practiced there the other day, but is it the shooting background's a little different than a lot of gyms you're in?
We were there. I didn't feel that impact at all. And we were there on our first practice. We got 90 minutes on that court. We'll get another shoot around tomorrow. While it's short, it's a quick workout for sure, but it'll be nice to get out there again.
Scott, it's a business trip, of course, as always, but we saw the team out in the river today a little bit. The experience is such a huge part of college in general, and certainly trips like this. How much do you try to reiterate to the kids that really try to enjoy every moment you got? Because certainly in this year where there's been so much pulled away from their lives.
Yeah, well, you're talking to a coach that has a home tournament on Maui. And so that we like to get out and do things when we can and live life while we're on these business trips, and remember that this is all about, it's education, it's growth, it's experiences. So that's always been part of what I do for my 25th year now. This time, it's much different. We are so restricted, for obvious reasons in what we can do. And so it's a lot of hotel time. And so that today was great, for the team to get out. That was led by an option offered to us by the NCAA, to help us all, just remain sane. I think, for coaches, there's plenty for us to do. I'm typically this time of year not on many of those excursions because I'm helping, and our staff is just helping get the team prepared. So we've got other things to do, and our time to explore will come later. But for the team, I was really happy that they got to do that. And I just like you said, I think it's really important, that we don't lose, just life in all of this.
Scott, can you touch on Aaliyah's development this season, everything you guys have been through, where she's at now? Obviously she had a big game the other night, and she just seems to be maybe playing at a different level than we've seen her.
There's probably not a whole lot of people playing better than Aaliyah Goodman right now, I would guess. If you just went down every roster and look what they're doing for their teams, from a leadership standpoint to obviously execution standpoint, from a decision-making standpoint. Yesterday, there were a couple possessions early in the third quarter where she came down. I was looking away. She's calling plays, and she just understands our whole thing so well that she's a true quarterback on the floor. And this team is so in tune to her, and she's so in tune to them. She knows me so well that, I just looked at her, I gave her a thumbs up, and she gave me a thumbs up back, and that's what every coach dreams of, getting to that point, with their floor leader. And so I think that to go along with her obviously the execution of her game. And I think Steve the other day was asking about her development, and, I missed on it because he actually asked her specifically and mentioned her mid-range game. And, I should have said that myself, because that's obviously something that she's really grown in, that was, not necessarily a part of her game because she didn't need it before she got to this level. But, now she's scoring at all three levels so well. Her decision making's off the bounce, and reading defenses are so good, and now she's really embraced the defensive end of the floor. Had a couple of huge box outs yesterday, just knowing the journey of how that has been such an acquired taste for her, seeing her embrace it and understand the importance of it now, as she's preparing, to do whatever. I don't know if she'll be back next year or not yet. I think I know she could absolutely be a pro as long as she'd want. And then into her coaching career, this year is just going to be one of those, because that's going to carry on forever because of the way she's embraced it, how she's stepped up into it courageously. And it's what, a coach hopes for every one of the people that they get to coach.
Scott, the obviously with the men's program having some success, and then you guys, what's the impact to Oregon State, you think, this week with this week's games?
Well, I'm an advocate for college sports. I lived through the Fiesta Bowl as a Beaver fan. I've been a Beaver fan my entire life. Those of you who know me know that. I have a Letterman's jacket that I got when I was 1 year old. That was an Oregon State Letterman's jacket, the only one I've ever received. For me, sports is the front porch. It is what gets people excited. It's galvanizing. It builds community. I know the Fiesta Bowl year, our attendance went up 5,000 students through that summer due to that win by our football team in 2001. And so what the guys are doing, you know, our photographer, Carl Masdam, and I went to kindergarten together, grade school, middle school, high school, and Oregon State together. And when the last time our men's team was here, we were 13 in 7th grade. And so I am so excited as just a lifelong Beaver fan to watch. I mean, this is the team I've followed my entire life. And so to see Coach Tinkle have so much fun and be rewarded for his hard work, to see that staff rewarded, to see the guys have so much fun. I mean, who doesn't love that team? And, you know, I grew up loving every Oregon State team. And so I'm just, you know, ecstatic, not only for them, but all of Beaver Nation. And so it's just magical, actually, what's happening. And I'm just so happy for everybody.
First of all, Tay, what's it been like for you? You're in your home state. I mean, is that cool? Does it even feel like it, or no, because you don't have a giant cheering section allowed in the stands?
I mean, I did have a pretty big crowd. I was given, I think, like 20 something tickets for my family. A bunch of people didn't have fans coming, a part of their family, so they let me have their tickets, which was a blessing. And so being able to look up and just hearing all of my family and friends cheering for me right before the second half, we were about to like break in the huddle, and my family just yelled like, "Go Taylor!" And of course, we're all from Texas, and they have a much stronger Southern accent than I do. And so everyone was kind of making fun of it. Was like, "Go Taylor!" Like, it was really funny. But I was super happy to see all them, and we got a picture, but I was on the court and they were all in the stands. And I'm just super happy to see them. I haven't seen them, and it's been close to a year because I came back up to Corvallis in May, and I haven't seen any of them since. So,
Taylor, how close are the women's team with the men's team?
I think that we're actually pretty close. I know a bunch of them. They're my really good friends, and especially the guys my age, we were all put in like the best program. So me and Kennedy are pretty close with them, and we have been watching how good they've been doing, and we're extremely proud. All of us, we both love each other's teams. We all get along really well, which is definitely a blessing. And I'm just super, super proud of the boys and how far that they've come, and hopefully they can continue to win.
Tay, what have you learned in watching and studying South Carolina in what I'm guessing was today? You probably watched some film. They obviously have a really talented post player in Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah, so they're definitely a very, very fast team, and they are very athletic, and Scott kind of touched on it. They're athletic and like very smart. Their coach, I mean, they deserve to be a 1 seed, but Scott said they're definitely beatable. And I think that we have a really good, so hopefully we come out more and play the best that we possibly can. But yes, they do have a really good inside presence. They're really, really athletic. Both of their posts are, but obviously Aaliyah Boston is very, very good. She's very strong. So it'll be a fun challenge, and I'm really, really excited to see how it goes.